Welcome everybody to this CartoVista webinar. So today we'll be talking about how to create high quality base map with CartoVista. So today's episode is the first episode of a new series that's called Hands-On Series. So the objective of the series is to cover technical topics and see how they can be addressed with CartoVista. So for instance, we'll be talking about how to manage users and permissions in the CartoVista portal. We'll also talk about how to integrate multimedia in your maps and also how to manage large point datasets, for instance. So for the first episode, we wanted to talk about Basemap because Basemap are a major element of the map, and CartoVista provides you with the tool to edit your own basemaps. So it's really important to pick a basemap that fits your needs because the basemap will have a huge impact on the look and feel of your map and also on the data itself. Sometimes we kind of neglect the choice of a base map because we want to focus on the data, but actually the choice of a base map has also an impact on the way your data will look on the map and will be properly highlighted, readable, and all of that. So sometimes you need to create your own base map to have something that really fits your project and fits your data. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And so here is a little preview of the agenda for today. So we'll start with the short introduction. We'll be over soon and we'll jump into the presentation. For this presentation, I'm with my colleague, Jonathan. Jonathan, I hope you're all right. And can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you'll be talking about today?
Sure. Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you, Chloe?
I'm good, thanks.
Cool. So yeah, hello everyone, and thank you, Chloe, for presenting this webinar. So as you just mentioned, my name is Jonathan Leblanc, and I'm a GIS specialist at CartoVista. So I'm going to show you today how to produce high-quality base maps with our software. So as a cartographer, I have always liked the flexibility and the customization of the base maps. It's like a personal signature, kind of. So the process of creating a base map is very intuitive and user-friendly at CartoVista. Today, we will first try to define what the base map is with a few examples created by CartoVista. Then we will look at the CartoVista publisher. It's our desktop application, which allows you to create these base maps. And then we will explore the different properties in order to create this kind of maps. And finally, I'll show you how to export and to generate the tile, like the PNG images. So this is more or less the program of my presentation, Chloe.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for this introduction. So after this presentation, we'll have the short poll that's just to know you, like to get to know your thoughts on Basemap and on Jonathan's presentation. And we'll also talk about the trial version that you have access to with CartoVista that you can try yourself to create your own Basemap. And then we'll have a Q&A question and answer section at the end. So at the bottom of the Zoom window, you should have a Q&A section where you can enter questions. So feel free all along the presentation to add questions in there, and we'll answer this question at the end of the presentation, but feel free to add them at any time. Well, I think that's it for the introduction. So Jonathan, the floor is yours. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Yeah, perfect. So let's dive in. I hope you can see my screen. So as I mentioned, we're going to start to speak about what a base map is, what like kind of a small introduction and definition of that. So a base map, basically speaking, it's a compilation of geographic information related to a specific location. It can be vector data, so it can be roads, kind of places, buildings, all of this kind of information. But it can also be raster data, so like all of the landforms, vegetation, and satellite imagery, and it can combine both informations. So it's also like the thing interesting with base maps, it's like different scales. So we have here a base map, we call like a black base map. It's a different projection. So this is also something interesting. You can work with different kind of projection for your specific projects. So this one is Van den Gritten. And it's a worldwide. So this is something interesting, like we have all of the information of the world, and we decided to create a black one just to make your project shine a bit more. You can see here that if I zoom in, I don't have a lot of information about the roads, the network, stuff like that, but it's easier for me to show some points, some polygons, etc., etc. So this is like the main idea of this black base map here. If I go in the state, you're going to see the lakes are pretty gray, etc., etc. Another example we have here in CartoVista, it's a base map we've made. This one is a bit more pedagogical. So it's a base map with the relief, like all of the land from here. You can see like the Himalaya in Asia, like the mountains in the west of Canada and the US. And if I zoom in, you're going to see some labels. So they are very discrete, so which is the thing that we wanted to do. Same story, we don't have all of the roads here, all of the network, but it's more like a worldwide idea. So just you can see the states, and we can see like some personal signature we have. We have this outer glow and this drop shadow, like in the St. Lawrence River, for example, around here. You can see that it's pretty smooth to see. It's easy to navigate, and you can represent some data here, especially like, I don't know, minings or stuff like that for geoscience. Then we have another one, which is a bit more classical. It's a road-based map. So everybody knows Google's or Bing road-based map. So this is our own made by CartoVista. The big difference is we just have North America, so just like this part of the continent, and you can see like the font is pretty light. We like it a lot, like to make your data shining. It's very easy. You have all of your points, your polygons working pretty fine. If I zoom in the street, you're going to see all of the labels, etc., etc. So if we zoom in Winnipeg, you can see the shields of the roads. You can see the small logo of the airports here in the city of Winnipeg, etc., etc. So this is very light. It's easy to work with. You can put whatever layers easily. So we like this one a lot. And the last one I'm going to show you, it's a base map we've been doing for the city of Dallas in Texas. So it's a base map we've been designing for one of our clients. And in this one, we had a specific rules. The client wanted us to follow the colors of the branding. So you can see here, he likes like a dark blue for the lakes, like the waterfront, like we're like in the white, in sky blue, and we have all of the roads here in kind of gold, which is making a base map pretty nice to see too. So I think the thing that is very interesting with base map, it's really like kind of an art. Some people are like really spending a lot of time with that because I don't know, you can follow the branding of the clients, you can do whatever you want for your project's specific data set, for example. I don't know, yeah, it's very flexible, very open, very some gray, very some black base map for the night, for example, that you can use for with Google Maps. So we have the same possibilities with CartoVista. This is going to be my second part. So we're going to talk about the publisher. So it's our desktop application. So you can see here, this is a publisher. So if I go here, this is my publisher here. And I'm going to show you more or less how to create a base map. So the main idea is going to be drag and drop these layers from my map sources into my layer control, just that drag and drop. I'm going to work with that. Something interesting for you guys is going to be the tile providers. You're going to see all of the tiles that we have. We have some tiles by default with CartoVista. So if you go here, you have the CartoVista providers here. You can see we have the different kind of projection. It can be Lambert or Mercator. And we have some classical base maps too made by Microsoft Bing, OSM, or S3, for example. These are like all of the base map we've been created. It's very easy to add one, just add click and add type provider, for example. And this is more or less the idea. So if I go back to my publisher, I'm just going to open a new map window, tile window. I'm going to File, New, and instead of creating a new map, I'm just going to go into Tile window. So this is what I'm going to see. So I have my layer control here. I have my workspace here. Something interesting with this product is you can see this square here. So it's almost like a screenshot of what you guys are going to see. Like all of the things outside the square are not going to be on the base map, but everything inside is going to be. And you can see this little grid. So it's the name, the number of images that are going to be designed and exported. Because base map, basically speaking, they're like images, PNG, that we're going to assemble to create a big images in total. So if I zoom in, you're going to see that it's getting a bit bigger. We have new informations coming around, like we have some new layers, etc., etc. And these are like all of my my layers, my shapefile. It's a bunch of information. If you see, like if I take off, for example, the water bodies, you're going to see more or less how this works. It's kind of different layers. You're going to see here the what else? Just have to zoom in one more scale, I guess. And you're going to see the water is going to disappear, like the Ottawa River just here. So this is a Basemaps we've been creating for Ottawa and Gatineau. This is where CartoVista is located. How does it work? It's pretty easy. So you have all of your information here. You can see that we are working with polygons, with lines here, with points. And if I click here, for example, I'm going to work with this layer, land use, and I'm going to right click and do properties. But just to show you, we can see that we have a lot of different options. So land use is very interesting. It's all of the polygons and what's the purpose of this polygon on the map. So you can see this little commercial here. It's a bit more orange. You have this open fields that are like park, for example, and you have all of the buildings that are like kind of gray. So if I go here, if I right click or double click, I'm going to open the properties. So you can see that. The first option we can work with is the blend mode. So the blend mode is something we can use to make transparency and to allow some layers behind to be shiny. So it's very interesting. You have a lot of options. You have lighten, screen, multiply, so you can decide what you want to do. And then you can work with the opacity. Other option is the style. So we know that we can create a single style. So if I click here, all of the polygons are going to be the same color. But in that case, we can see that we have multiple styles. So my identifier is class. And you can see here that it's going to open a different kind of style. And I'm just going to double click and work with my color schemes here. I can change whatever I want and then change with the label. So now I'm just going to talk about the roads. So this line, polyline layer. So you can see that it's a multi-class 2, multi-style. If I double click here, you're going to see all of the properties. So we're starting with the same, the blend mode, etc. Style. So we can see that it's multiple. Something interesting here is you can filter. So we've been excluding some of the line here with this expression. It's just like if you want to be a bit more discrete, if you want your map not to be that dense, it's a very good feature. Then we have the labeling. So this is something really important. It's kind of very basic for Basemaps, if I can say. It's something that you can, I mean, you need to know where you are. So you need to put the name of the park, you need to put the name of the street, etc., especially if you're driving, especially if your map is in geomarketing purpose. So you can choose the field here, the name, for example, and you have a lot of options. First one is the position. Where is it going to be? So here, everything is in the middle of the street. You can see that. Then you also have different options. And this one is also very good, the auto placements. It means that the software is going to decide where to put the label. Then we have the visibility. So the labels visible, yes or no. If you click here, it's going to be blue. So it's what we've done. Then you can allow duplicates or overlap, and you can choose a priority, like which one is most important. Which one is most important? Is it the street? Is it the neighborhood, like lower town here, for example? And then you have the font, which is a classical thing to do. You can choose every kind of font, bold, and the colors, etc., etc. Something interesting too, it's, you know, like this street, for example, they have to have a label on the street. So if you go to extended, you have the possibility here to follow the rotation. If you see, I don't know which one, for example, the highway here, 47. So you can see that the label is exactly following the line, which is something we want to. We don't want some static labels that are like straight like that. It's not possible to understand what we're going to do in this map. So you can just click in this option, follow. Other thing, very basic for this feature is the visibility ranges. So something important, like when you're creating a base map, you always have to think that you are going to have some layers on the top. So you don't want your base map to be too dense. It's going to be difficult to understand. So if you click here, you are going to enable the visibility ranges between 0 and 40,000 for the layer. So this layer is going to be visible just between these two scales. But you can do the same with the labels. So like it would be totally impossible to understand this map if every street would have a label, right? So you can just enable here and choose what kind of visibility ranges you want. When you have a visibility ranges in your layer control, you have this little star here saying that it's a visibility ranges. So I'm going to show you how does it work. You have like this layer here building. So we don't see the building right now. But if I zoom in the zoom level number 13, you're going to see that building, the star is over, and you can see the buildings that are here, exactly the Parliament of Canada just here. So, and if I go back, you're going to see that my star is back probably in building, and the buildings are not in the map anymore. So this is the idea, like the zoom level and the labels are very important. Now, like talking to my last point, I'm just going to show you how to generate these tiles, how to generate these images. So you are going to click in this one, but first, this is the coverage. The coverage is the square here, so you have two options. You can create your own polygons. So if I click here, you are going to draw your polygons. Sometimes it's a very big file. So if you want to do that, it's probably better because it's going to be less tiles, it's going to be faster. And you can create your own rectangle. This one is to clear the coverage. So that's it. Then click on Generate Tiles, and you are going to have a new pop-up coming on, and you have a very interesting feature, is the count tile. So if I click here, you are going to see how, like the amount of images that we're going to create. So here it's like 46,000 kind of, but what if I want to add to 20? It's going to be something around 160,000. So it's quite a lot. So you can see that if I add some zoom level, it's going to be more images. So it's going to be more time consuming to create this kind of tile. So in that case, I wouldn't probably need level 20, especially because it's for a city. Other option we have is the export option. So you can override the tiles. It's something very useful because, as I said, it's a very, very big file. So if you don't want to overlap them, you can just override. You can set some transparent color. So this one is white. If you want to work with some other data, just click here and you can set the background color just here. Create an XML file, and you can add your tile layer to the map source manager, which means that it's going to be here directly when the tiles are going to be created. You just can drag and drop and you can work on your map. And if I go to output format, so this is interesting. You have two options. The first one is create the files locally, like the tiles locally in a file, like this, for example, is going to be my folder. But the other option would be to send all of the tiles to my portal. So if I click here and if I check online, you are going to see put an identifier, and you are going to see that your tiles are going to be located in this folder Basemap, and these are my tiles. So you have all of the information you need, the name of the tiles, the amounts, the author, and the modification. So this is something that it's very easily to distinguish in kind of filter, for example. And another thing, like just to conclude, like the thing that is interesting with tile is like the scales. You can create like a city, just a neighborhood, just a field, for example, and it can be also worldwide or just a country or a continent. So this is very, very basic. It's very time consuming, but it's very interesting because it's creating an own signature to your own map. So I think that's it, Chloe. I don't think I have anything to add. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for this presentation. It was really interesting. So yeah, I'll share my screen again. I hope that everybody liked it. Well, I did. And well, we just have a short poll for you. I'll just start the poll right now. I'll give you a few minutes to answer the questions, just to based on Jonathan's presentation and your own thoughts about Basemap. We'll just have a few questions, and yeah, you should be able to answer now. I'll give you a few minutes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that most of the people have answered. So I'll stop the poll now and we can look at the results together. I'll share the results. So the first question is about what types of basemap do you use? So we see that a lot of people use existing basemap. Of course, it's very, very convenient to use existing basemap.
Does make sense, yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense. There are quite a variety of existing basemap. And also see that a lot of people use aerial imagery, which is also of course quite useful in lots of projects, and it's also completely feasible to create a base map with your own aerial imagery in CartoVista, just to add raster data instead of vector data, as Jonathan shown. And some of you also use custom base maps, so that's really good, and we hope that today's presentation is interesting for you. The second question was what makes a good base map. So a lot of you think that that's important, that it's specific to your.
Yeah, the project should be the main focus, probably.
Yeah, specificity to the project, right? And then it's also important if it contains your own data. Well, that's what you would be allowed to do if you create your own base map. So it's really interesting. And of course, to be able to set the styles and color.
Your own style and color, which does make sense.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you everybody for answering the poll. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was the trial version. So CartoVista offers a trial version of the software. So you would just have to go to the website and click on Try CartoVista, enter your name, email address, and you'll have an access to an online portal where you could also download the publisher that Jonathan's shown today, and you would be able to try to create your maps and base maps, of course. And if you have any questions, you have our email address here. We are available to answer any questions.
Yeah, feel free to contact us. We can talk about base maps or whatever you need for your projects. We're pretty open, and it would be a pleasure for us to help you with that.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I think that we are now at the Q&A question and answer moment. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the Q&A section. We don't have any questions for now. Just wait a couple more minutes or seconds for you to add any questions. You also have the chat. It's available if you don't find the Q&A section. Both work fine.
Any questions? I mean, mean that the presentation was pretty clear, which we can be happy about. But
Absolutely, it was really crystal clear. Okay, well, it seems that there is no questions for today. Well, which brings us to the end of this webinar. So all I have to do now is to thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar.
Chloe.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, for the presentation. It was really interesting. And yeah, we'll see you around at the next webinars, which are not planned yet, but you'll see the dates of the next webinars on our website while they'll be planned.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon.